Rob, can you just go over with us with the issues about benefit fraud, etc., that you raised at council last week?
Yeah, we obviously saw Labour's budget proposals. Part of that was £50,000 decrease in the the benefit fraud team. The benefit fraud team over the years has been run with a number of consultants and temporary staff. That has now resolved itself, and it's pretty much all permanent. It seems to me that reward for actually getting themselves back on track is £50,000 less in their budget. Now, this is a vital part of the council. This is the front line that people don't really see. These are the people that are protecting their council's purse.
Because from a press point of view, it doesn't seem to a week go past without a press release regarding clamping down successfully on benefit fraud. So it must be, I guess the question, is it a growth industry in Thurrock?
Well, it's not just benefit fraud. The benefit fraud team have the financial investigator as part of it. And what they deal with is Proceeds of Crime Act cases. Now, Proceeds of Crime is not just for benefit fraud and housing fraud. It covers pretty much anything where the council can get involved. For instance, if someone was picking up rubbish from someone's house, being paid for it, and then dumping it on in the street somewhere, obviously they're committing the crime of dumping rubbish. They're taking money for that crime, so there you have a proceeds of crime. There are a huge amount of other crimes that they can also investigate. And what happens is, the council does the investigation, it goes to court, they get to keep some of the money from that, somewhere between a third and 2/3 if it's a confiscation order, and if it's a compensation order, then they get pretty much all the money that this person has made out of that specific crime, and sometimes others. Sometimes these cases just expand as they go through their finances.
So how many officers are there, and in your opinion, how many officers should there be?
Well, it's not really for me to say how many there should be, and I'd rather not say how many that we have. Obviously, there are people out there, the more intelligence they have on how to get one over on the council or the state or whatever, the easier it is for them to continue committing their crimes. So,
but what would be on your wish list? It's clearly an issue that you feel very concerned about. Your concerns are that they need all the resources, our officers need all the resources available.
Well, they do. I mean, what we've got to remember is fraud, in the way of benefit fraud. There isn't a victimless crime here. This is every single taxpayer puts money into the state to help those that can't quite manage themselves. That's why we have that state assistance. Anyone that's taking that state assistance that they're not entitled to, then obviously that's the victims are every other taxpayer. So the amount of resources that the council could have, especially in this, I'm sure if they had 20 officers, they could do with 22. But really, they do need to look seriously at protecting the public purse. As I say, this is taxpayers' money that we're looking at. It's not council money. It's not government money. There's no such thing. It's taxpayers' money.
Because the job of an investigator here, it's a very, very complicated, time-consuming job, isn't it? It's not a one-page report, is it?
No, it's not. I've been involved in local government finance for about 23 years. And I certainly work closely with other fraud teams at local authorities where I've worked. Quite often, that my role would interact with their role on a daily basis. And sometimes you see these fraud investigations going on for months and months and months. And as I say elsewhere, say, well, actually, we could really do with another secretary or a trainee to be able to go through all these bank sheets or be able to go through this, because of course these are not simple crimes. This is not someone walking into a shop, picking up some goods they're not entitled to, walking out without paying. This is people that spend a lot of time building up, fake names, fake addresses, just to basically take money out of my pocket, your pocket, and every other taxpayer's pocket. So
where do you go from here? Labour has set the budget, gone through. Are you going to continue to bring this up in council?
Well, it needs to be brought to the forefront all the way through. In our manifesto last year, we made a very clear pledge to protect the public purse. Every councillor has got that obligation to protect the public purse. And I think we really should be pushing this. There are other parts of the council you see are a little bit bloated and inflated maybe. We've got a comms team which is 15 strong. We have got a benefits team which isn't 15 strong. So do we spend our money on saying how good the council is and how well it's doing and organising events, or should we be having some person sitting there with their PC and a whole pile of papers protecting the public purse? I think I know where I'd like to see some more of that money spent.
Does that, as Deputy Leader, does that concern you when you come into the budget, that some things just don't seem to make sense, whereas you seem to be scrutinising budgets to some areas, but again, the Taxpayers Alliance highlighted the amount of officers in Thurrock on £50,000 or more. Does that sort of type of thing, as a deputy leader, really concerns you?
It does. I mean, both the lead, Phil, and myself raised some odd items from the budget. For instance, £87 being spent on the diversity of the collection of dog poo, 25,000, 26,000 being spent on £70 worth of travel. That is a major concern for us. And we're not saying that that money wouldn't be spent anyway, but it needs to be put quite clearly where it's actually being spent, not just sort of spread about thinly so you don't actually see the true cost of services. Once you know the true cost of a service, you can say, do I need it? If I need it, should we provide it as a council? If we don't need to provide it, do we put this outside for other people to provide and get better value for money? When we start getting value for money, that extra amount of money that we've saved can then be ploughed into those frontline services that people don't really normally think as a frontline services. Fraud is one of them. As I said before, the fraud team, certainly the financial investigator, is not just limited to the housing benefit fraud. The aspects are right across the council for them to do some work. And the good thing is the money comes back. So not only is justice being done, it's seen to being done. Because that money comes back, ring-fenced money. We can spend it pretty much on what we like.
Rob, thank you very much.
No problem.